So those that have not met me, my name is Stefanie. I'm one of the THP Plus case managers here, and today's life skills class is on recreation and travel. Again, thank you guys so much for being here. This is, I think, the second time I'm teaching this class. I've taught it once before COVID. It's a personal passion of mine. I'm really big on recreation and on travel, specifically travel, but also recreation is really, really important to me. To me, recreation and travel somewhat go hand in hand because I feel like travel is part of recreation. So I want to start out with a little bit of a quote, it is, travel is never a matter of money, but of courage. So I know oftentimes people make the excuses, oh, I can't do this or that because I don't have money, but it's really not about money. You know, traveling as well as recreation does not have to be expensive. It's pretty much whatever your budget is, that's kind of what you plan your recreational activities around or your travel around. So first I want to start off with why. Like, why is recreation or why is travel important? There was an interesting article in the Times magazine that I want to share with you guys. It says right here, challenging, fun, and engaging hobbies have the power to make us happier and healthier, says Hanselman, a psychiatrist, mental health nurse practitioner with a counseling practice. Such pursuits help us grow in creative, physical, or intellectual ways and can boost self-esteem. Plus, they can often foster connection with others. Research suggests that hobbies lead to better physical health, more sleep, lower stress, greater life satisfaction, a larger social network, and improved work performance. And I agree with this 100%. Like, to me, having a hobby, having something to do, something outside of work, on weekends to do, something to look forward to is very, very important. And with hobbies, how it goes, I don't know if you guys are the same, but if I look back on my life, on my 45 years of living, my hobbies, they don't always stay the same, right? So, you know, when I was 10, I might have had a different interest compared to now, or when I was in my 20s, I did different things compared to what I do now. And I think that's also the beauty of hobbies. You don't have to stick to it all the time, or you might want to try one thing out and then realize, okay, this is not me anymore, or your family dynamic might change. You might have kids now, so you don't have the availability as you used to have it, or your hobbies might then go more along, you know, with what you can do as a family, so they can shift. So I'm curious, what kind of hobbies do you guys have? Or have you guys had in the past?
I like traveling.
Traveling, yes. Mm-hmm. I'm with you 100%.
I like cosmetology, like hair, makeup.
So like watching tutorials or reading up on it?
No, for now I actually do hair.
Just
like
doing
any hairstyle you see me with, I do hair. I do wigs.
Okay.
All kinds of stuff.
That's awesome. Okay, anything else?
Coffee has become another passion.
Yeah,
I want to become a coffee master.
Yeah. Like for me, food, you know, I mean, that's, I'm not joking. Like when I travel, like that's usually one of the first things I research. Like, where's a good bakery or where's a good coffee shop? You know, I think it's very real.
I like spending time with my family.
Yeah. Or games, board games, that can be hobbies. Even watching movies can be hobbies. Yoga, yes. Yep. Yeah. So, and it was kind of interesting too in that article, what they said is you can make like a list of things that you're curious about, put it on your fridge and then knock it out or whatever. And then sometimes you might not really know what you want to do. So what they suggested is to take a test online, and I kind of went online and kind of looked around. Some tests they charge for, so I wouldn't encourage that. I found one which is more of a career planning test, and it kind of pointed out exactly the career field I'm working in today, which was kind of interesting, but that can also help figure out your hobbies. So let's say if it says, okay, you enjoy doing creative things or whatnot, then maybe you might want to get into art or something like that. So, because it's not always easy to figure out what you're into. All right, so again, recreation, recreation, they are activities done for enjoyment when one is not at work. So it's something you do outside of work. Sometimes people, they end up somewhat working in the field that their hobby was, so it gets a bit mixed, but in general, that is what you do outside of work. So we have 2 parents in here, right? Nobody else has kids, just you 2, right? Okay, so I just want to real briefly talk about some opportunities that I'm familiar with in Bakersfield when you have kids regarding recreational activities, because my kids are now older, they are teenagers, but even when they were little, even when they were your baby's age, I was always looking for things to do, get out of the house, like what are their opportunities. So at his age, one of the biggest things of activities that we did, it was going to CALM. Are you guys familiar with the CALM Zoo? It's the Living Desert by Hart Park. We always had an annual pass. I think the annual pass was only $50. You can go there the whole year. And I always listed like 7 kids. Like I had 7 kids in my family, so we were always able to bring friends. And that was like a go-to. It costed $50 for the whole year. Besides that, there was really no expense. We usually would bring our lunch. It's usually, I mean, I haven't been in a long time because my kids are now bigger, but it usually wasn't packed. I think they upgraded a lot of the areas, so there's now playgrounds and stuff like that, which I would say that's a fabulous opportunity to do for kids that are infants, because there's fun stuff to see, toddlers, preschoolers, and younger elementary school. And then once they get a little older, they might get a little bored there. But for younger kids, that's a great opportunity. Also, once you have a toddler or a preschooler, one of my go-to things was the library. They have so much fun activities there. They have story time, they have toddler time. During the summer, they have usually a special programs, like sometimes they bring reptiles in, sometimes they have a puppet show. Or even when I was a stay-at-home mom, if I just needed to get out of the house, you know, with my kids, go to the downtown library, take the elevator up and down. It's fun. Like that would kill 2 hours or whatnot, and then it was nap time. So that was always one of my go-to places, and it's free. So, and also for me, I like, I mean, I don't go to the library as often in person anymore, but I love listening to audiobooks, so you can get them for free through the library, or when I'm out of books and I'm looking for something to read, I still go get books from the library. And it's again free, and reading is, for example, one of my hobbies, like one of my go-to things that I like to do. Also, when I was a mom, one big thing for me was being part of a mom group. So you know, getting connected with other moms, again, opportunity to get outside of the house. Usually there was a little bit of a life skills class involved in it. There were field trips involved, like going to the fire station or going to Dwarves or whatnot, for the kids to get to tour how the ice cream is made. So that was always a big deal for me. And then sports, once the kids get older, is a was always a big thing for me. I know not every kid is into sports, so obviously there's also acting, singing, instruments, things like that. One thing I do definitely want to highlight on that I think is super important, especially living in Bakersfield where it's so hot, is water safety. So I think my daughter started swimming classes pretty much, is he a year yet?
No, it's 10 months.
10 months, okay. I think about 6 months she took her first swimming class, and that was just a water safety class. What she learned there is pretty much, if she's in the pool, that was my daughter, when she's in the pool, how to get to the side of it so she can be safe. So that made me as a mom feel super safe. So last year I think was the last year where my kids took classes, or it wasn't classes, it was swimming at the aquatic center. But the aquatic center became our second home during the summer. They have really affordable classes. Some of them are sponsored by First Five. So I know my kids have taken classes where you paid $5 per class, those water safety classes. So I highly encourage you guys, if you have kids, if they don't know how to swim yet, or even if they don't know how to swim but want to get better, learn their strokes better, is to check out, it's not just the aquatic center, there are those public pools all over town where they can take classes. Also the aquatic center, if you guys are personally interested in swimming, they offer lap swimming or water walking or whatnot. I brought a little schedule of that. Also for kids, that was another thing that we did every summer, is I always grabbed, or actually at that time it was mailed to me, the summer flyer for the recreation and parks. I went to the aquatic center to try to pick one up to give you guys like a physical copy, but they weren't out yet, so I just printed the online one. But I mean, they offer all kinds of stuff, from after school activities to aquatics, I think acting, even some dog opportunities. Like even if you have pets and no kids, so like right here, I can see they're having certain dog vaccination clinics. They give you instructions of how to get your dog license. The different community parks, like Silver Creek's Community Park. For example, they have a clogging course, free meals. So it's always a good opportunity. So, any questions regarding recreational activities for kids? All right, then I'm going to move to adults. So again, you know, like we kind of talked about a few minutes ago, is what are your interests? So that's kind of what you base it on. And then also what's your budget and what's your availability? So as I was getting older, my availability became smaller because I had a family. So being part of this, I'm a naturally pretty active person, so I like active activities. So being part of a sports team wasn't really an option, or an activity where I needed somebody to go with wasn't really an option because I was not very flexible with my schedule. So I was starting to look for activities that I can either do by myself or that are offered pretty much all the time and where I can just I don't have to be committed. So are any of you guys familiar with meetup groups or Meetup? Okay, it's not a dating website or a dating group. It's called Meetup, and it's an app, and you can pretty much find any activity on there. You just type in whatever you're interested in, if it's tennis, if it's hiking, if it's dancing, if it's just having lunch with somebody, if it's being part of a book club, you just type it in and all kinds of stuff will pop up. Obviously, you know, with things like that come some safety concerns. Personally, my experience with Meetup has been great. I've never had any concerns, but just be smart. You know, let's say if you join some kind of day trip group on Meetup, and some of those groups, they offer carpools. Like, I probably wouldn't carpool the first time. I would first try to check out the group, meet people, see how you feel, always listen to your instinct, and then take it from there. But some of those groups, let's say if you don't have a car, a lot of them, I think that kind of became popular during COVID. They offer online stuff, which is a little bit weird, but it's still better than nothing. And then once you get to know people, they do usually offer carpool opportunities. Any other questions, suggestions, anything you guys want to share about recreational stuff in Bakersfield? Nope. Okay, cool. Hello. Sorry to put you on the spot, but what's your name so I can mark you off?
Oh, Fabian.
Fabian, all right, welcome. I don't even have you on my list, but I will add you to it. All right. All right, so then we're gonna jump to travel. I'm gonna hope to make this class quite interactive. So towards the end of the class, I'm gonna give you guys some challenges, and you guys can either work with partners or not, where you guys try to look up some trips and so forth. So travel, the definition of travel is going from one place to another, right? So with travel, we often think going to China, going to Mexico, going to out of state. Travel doesn't mean it has to be long distance, right? Travel can be a day trip, it can be a half day trip. You know, it's whatever you want it, however you want to define it, right? So where to start? Have any of you guys traveled?
Like out of country or out of state? Or?
You've traveled.
Oh yeah. But in United States.
But it's still traveling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you want to share a little bit of where you've gone, what you've done?
Well, every month, me and the kids and my husband, we like to do stuff. Like we'll go to the Great Wolf Lodge for like a week, or we'll go to Universal Studios, Disneyland. Like we'll do stuff. If their grades and their behavior's good, we'll do stuff. But yeah.
So you've done day trips as well as overnights, right?
Yes.
You've done it all. Very good. Yeah.
Like this weekend, we're supposed to go to the beach, but since we might get the new kid, we have to like get to know him.
Yeah, see how it goes.
But yeah.
Okay. And that day trip or overnight?
Overnight.
Okay, overnight. Perfect.
It's more fun when you stay
Yeah.
overnight.
You don't have to worry about getting back at night.
And then for summer, we're supposed to go to Orlando, Florida.
Oh, okay.
We want to go to the Universal out there, but we have to do. There's a process. Like with this, and the judge has
You have to
approve
request it.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's out of states. Yes.
So.
Okay, thank you, Juliana. Anybody else? Any travels that you guys have done? And again, travel is just going from one place to another. So you can travel to the other side of Bakersfield, for example. Oh, you go to Mexico. Okay, do tell. How did you get there?
I drove my car.
Okay.
And my family's out there, and Michoacan. So I stayed out there with them.
Okay. What did you need to? Where did you cross the border at?
In San Diego, Tijuana.
Oh, San Diego. Okay. Was your ID enough, or did you need a passport?
Well, if you go with just an ID, you need an ID and a birth certificate.
Oh, both. Okay. Okay. Because that was a question that came up earlier. Okay. So that's okay.
I had a passport ID, so.
Oh, you had your passport card?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That was another thing that came up, difference between passport card and passport book. Do you have both, or just the passport ID card?
Well, I lost my actual passport book.
The book, okay.
When I was in the group and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't had it since then, but I renewed my my passport ID
Your card,
recently, and so I just went with that.
So for Mexico, that's enough, correct?
Yeah.
And then you don't need your birth certificate, right?
No.
Okay, that'll be enough.
And it's actually faster to pass through the lines.
The border, okay. Okay, that's good to know. So when we talk about passports, that is, you know, if you're just thinking about going to Canada, Mexico, then that might be the smart thing to do, because you can just put it in your wallet, right? And you don't need to carry that whole booklet. Do you guys all know what a passport looks like? I meant to bring mine, just so you guys can see. It's like a little booklet. So it's not as easy, you know, you kind of need a purse for guys. I guess they would put it in their backpack. So, all right, any other travels?
Going to Utah.
Oh, okay. How did you get to Utah?
With my foster family.
Did you fly or drive?
Drive.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So Juliana, well, both of you guys, maybe do you guys want to share a little bit, like when you guys first were thinking about taking that trip or those trips, where do you start? Like, what do you have to do? Do you have to prepare anything, or do you just go, like wake up one morning and decide, okay, I'm leaving?
Well, we looked it up to see like how much everything was going to be, and like what days should we go, and what days will fit their schedule and stuff like that. And then got gas, packed everything, and
Very good. So a little bit of planning involved.
Yeah.
Budgeting, dates. How about you?
Kind of the same thing. Wanted to know. Well, I needed to know how much gas was going to take to get there, because San Diego's kind of far.
Oh yeah.
And then the grapevine kills your gas, and so I just needed to know how much money I needed to get there. And then my family, they wanted me to go for like, I haven't seen them like in 10 years. So ever since I moved over here from San Diego, it was hard to go over there. So ever since then, I was just like.
So how long did you go when you went?
I went for a month.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
I had to call out at work, but.
Yeah, so that was the other thing. So I would say the steps to take, or like where to start regarding travel, is first figure out a time frame, right? And that kind of depends on, you guys are in such, I remember when I was you guys' age, it was so hard to travel because of jobs, right? Because you always had those jobs where you usually didn't have vacation time. So you kind of lose your job almost when you travel, unless you have a job where you have vacation time. So figuring out a time frame, figuring out what vacation time you have, or if you do decide to quit your job, kind of figure out what your plan is coming back. Also financially prepare for that if there's a bit of a lapse with income. Then you got to figure out your budget, you know, like both of you guys said, you got to, you know, you don't want to be running out of money. I think that happened to my brother once, where, I mean, he was young, he was 14, 15. Where he ended up running out of money and then not having enough gas to get back. So that stinks. You don't want to be in a position like that. And then you do want to do your research, like Juliana said. You want to research, you know, hotels, you know, what are the different options, compare prices, and then you plan, and then you book it if there's booking required. In your case, there was no booking required, and then you go. Regarding employment, does anybody get paid vacation time where you guys are working? No? How did you do it? Did you lose your job when you went to Mexico, or how did that work?
No, I put in a sick leave.
Okay.
And then I put in a COVID leave, so I got paid those.
Oh, during COVID. Oh yeah, you went during the right time. Yep. So you time. So again, it's timing sometimes, right? And you communicated with your workers, so don't just leave, because that's a guarantee to lose your job if you just leave. And some employers, even if you don't get vacation time, they will work with you and allow you to have unpaid leave. And then they will, like, let's say if you're a really good worker, they'll just take you back depending on the company. So, but communication is everything. Or if you're a student, you know, it gets tricky too, especially if you're taking summer school. Like I have that situation with my kids this year. Both of them, they're high school students. Both of them are going to take summer school, so it kind of put us in a real predicament regarding travel, which was very irritating, but so you got to plan around those things. All right, so the next is budgeting. So usually how I plan my trips, and you guys can pipe in how you guys do your stuff, is I usually see, okay, what money do I have available? And then I decide, okay, this is in my budget, this is not in my budget. How do you guys do it?
Like that.
Yeah.
Kind of just saved up money for it.
Yeah, plan for it, yeah. And then go, okay. And that's a good point. You know, nowadays with credit cards, it's so tempting to just charge stuff on your credit card. I'm much with you, Fabian. Save up first, go on the trip, because you'll end up having extra expenses anyways as you're on the trip, and often unpaid leave from work, so you're not having income coming in, so you'll end up with usually extra charges anyway. So it's very nice to have, if you need to pay for a hotel or whatnot, or gas, to have that money ahead of time saved up, so then the extra expenses, you know, you can pay off later, or even have ideally paid up ahead of time as well. So all right, so and then the next one is research. So I brought a couple of items regarding research. So I picked up some items from Costco, because you can book trips with Costco. I looked into them a little bit. I feel like, I mean, they're definitely not in my budget, so they're a little bit higher end, but they give you ideas, and they give you a little bit of a starting point, you know, of where to look, and then you can jump on other websites and compare prices. In general, I would say if you haven't traveled before, booking it with an agency, which is like Costco, is definitely a safe way to do it. You know, like they usually airport pickup is, like, let's say if you're going to Hawaii, usually airport pickup is included. You know, otherwise you have to kind of worry about those logistics on your own, which that's how it can sometimes get tricky. And then I brought, I'm a big fan, I know I'm old, I know a lot of people don't really like books anymore or whatnot, but whenever I go places, I always get a little travel guide. If I go to a city, like the Berlin one over there, I like to have that in my backpack. It comes with a map, it's right there by Day, and it's easy to put kind of in your pocket or whatnot, and it gives you a good understanding of what is, and it helps me. Over there I have a camping guide, so if you guys enjoy camping, so I would say again, that's can be part of recreation as well as travel. It helps you know where campgrounds are, and camping is a really cheap way to do things. It's a little bit more work involved, of course, but it's adventurous, it's cheap, it's budget friendly, and you get to see parts that you otherwise will not be able to see. Are any of you guys campers?
I'm a glamper.
That can get pricey then again, right? Yeah.
What that mean, Frank?
Oh, it's like I don't like going in tents, so I rather go take my uncle's trailer.
Oh, trailer, yeah.
And then it's basically like a little house on the way.
Oh, okay. Friend, I be telling my friends that's my camping friend. That is a whole house in the forest.
Well, you can even rent like fancy tents that have electricity.
They have mobile tents.
They what?
They have mobile tents?
I think they leave them there. Those tents that you can rent. They leave them there. They are set up like with nice cottages inside. So it is camping, you could say. And then that's what we once did also as a family. And I think, you know, looking back, that was one of my kids' best vacation. We rented a motorhome. So that was a lot of fun. It was very adventurous, but it got tricky. You know, there are a lot of logistics involved, and also I would say price-wise, it's not necessarily cheaper compared to getting a hotel. And then, you know, making those reservations with those campgrounds, it got tricky. So that's where I got that travel guide over there. So, but camping, like for example, going up to the Sequoias or whatnot, I mean, you might have to pay a few dollars per night. It's super cheap.
But you have to pay to stay outside?
Well, you know, there are fire pits and so forth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I would say most campgrounds, even if there's not a ranger there, you have to put it like in a little envelope thingy or whatnot. So, all right. So we talked about time frame, budget, and then, you know, just like with budgeting in general, regarding saving. Usually we're unable to save unless we have a goal to save, right? Have you guys ever tried to save but don't really have a purpose in saving? Usually it doesn't work very well for me, but if I have a purpose, let's say, oh, I want to go to Germany, then it's much easier for me to save instead of, oh, I just want to put, a couple of hundreds a month away. But if I don't really have a purpose, then I'm like, why save? So have a, with budgeting or starting to save for it, have that purpose. Give yourself a deadline, go over your budgets, see how much the trip is or how much you're planning on spending, and then see how long it'll take you to save up realistically, and then plan your trip. Research. So also magazines. I'm a magazines person. I know you guys' age group don't really do magazines all that much, right? Because I'm more about online stuff. But social media can be great, obviously. But I'm still a big. Are any of you guys AAA members? Okay. Do you get that AAA magazine? No.
Because I'm under somebody.
Oh, you're under somebody. Okay. So I get that AAA magazine, I think quarterly, and it always gives you reviews on food places, travel ideas. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to those places, but I love looking them up. So, and it gives me ideas of what I want to do. And sometimes I do go to those food places if I happen to go to that area. And then also another magazine that I love is Sunset Magazine. You don't have to have the physical magazine. You can go on their website for free and just look up different ideas for travel. They always have good ideas on there. Also the newspaper, I don't know so much about the Bakersfield Californian, but LA Times, even online, it can give you tons of ideas also regarding travel. And then also apps. Do you guys use any travel apps? Have you guys ever booked anything? What do you guys use? Booking.com, okay.
Hotels.com.
Hotels.com. Anybody else? Okay. So what I usually do is I use all of them. I also use Expedia, and then what I usually do is I see where I get the best offer. And there are also some websites that compare different sites, so that can be helpful. Depending on where I go, and let's say if I plan for a trip 3-6 months ahead of time, I try to get a good cancellation policy, because sometimes you don't know what might come up or if the trip is not for sure. And then another one, like once I got stuck at the Denver airport because of flight delays, it's called Hotel Tonight. That's really easy if you need a last minute hotel. But if you're traveling with your family, I wouldn't use that one because you don't know what kind of room you get. So like with my family, we always need for sure 2 beds. So if that's not guaranteed, I'm not going to book that room. But if you're traveling by yourself, that's a great option. And then of course Airbnb, Groupon. Have you guys ever? Are you guys familiar with Groupon?
I know about it.
Okay. Groupon, anybody? I mean, that's kind of good for purchasing anything, but they also have a lot of offers for travel. Like we once had an employee here, she went to Ireland with Groupon, and I think she went for 7 days or even 14 days, and I think that was super cheap. It was maybe $1,500, and that included rental car, included airfare, and hotels. So it had to be 2 people though, so she had to bring a friend, so double occupancy, but that's a great deal. So that's Groupon. And then another agency that I like to use for flights is called ASAP. That's worked really well for me in the past. All right, passports. So those applications are for you. Go grab them. Briefly before everybody arrived, we already talked about the process. Applying for a passport. Do you guys have any questions about it? Or if you guys weren't here?
How much is a passport?
You know what I looked on here? It did not say. But if I remember correctly, so you do have to remember there are 2 different fees you have to pay. You have to pay the passport fee, and you have to pay the execution fee. So I think the execution fee is about $40. So that's what you pay to like the post office or whatnot. And the passport fee, if I remember correctly, it's like $120, $140, somewhere there. So, and you have to pay attention of how they want you to pay it. So it's either money order, check, sometimes cash. So you always have to ask, like especially for the execution fee, you have to ask at the facility of what they accept.
And then you have to pay for the picture.
Yeah, you have to pay for the picture. You can either bring it or get it taken there. I've been taking it there lately because their requirements are sometimes really strict. So you don't want to, let's say drive all the way to Tehachapi with a picture that they're not going to accept.